Mbokodo is a small village nestled between the undulating hills and expansive savannas of East Africa. Life in Mbokodo is simple, bound by tradition and community, yet it holds a labyrinth of human emotions as complex as the land itself. Among the villagers is a young woman named Nia, whose life has been anything but simple. Nia's mother, Amina, had been the village's most revered healer, known for her knowledge of herbs and her unwavering kindness. Amina had fallen in love with a man from a neighboring village, and Nia was born from this union. Her father, however, had two other sons from a previous marriage, Kato and Mosi. Though bound by blood, these half-brothers shared little else with Nia, for they saw her as an intruder who sullied their father's legacy. From childhood, Nia was mocked and bullied by Kato and Mosi. They taunted her for her different features, her quiet demeanor, and her deep connection to their mother's healing ways. Their jealousy was fueled by the respect Nia earned in the village, following in Amina's footsteps as a healer. The village elders often spoke of Nia's potential to surpass even her mother's prowess. As Nia and her half-brothers entered their 20s, the dynamics of their relationships remained fraught with tension. Kato and Mosi, now strong and agile men, had taken up roles as herders, commanding a significant portion of the village's livestock. Their physical strength was matched by their influence in village affairs, and they resented that Nia's quiet presence could outshine their louder accomplishments. One fateful day, a drought struck Mbokodo. The once lush fields turned to dust, and the rivers dried to mere trickles. The villagers turned to Nia, seeking her mother's wisdom in these dire times. Despite the taunts from her brothers, Nia worked tirelessly, brewing potions and offering remedies to ease the suffering of her people. Kato and Mosi, instead of assisting, used this as an opportunity to undermine her further. They spread rumors that Nia's potions were the cause of the drought, that her power over nature had cursed the land. Their whispers grew into a chorus of doubt and fear, and soon, the village began to look at Nia with suspicion. One evening, under a sky heavy with unspoken words, the village elders called a meeting. The entire village gathered in the central clearing, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a large bonfire. The elders spoke of the drought and the hardship it brought, and soon, the conversation turned to Nia. "We must seek the source of our misfortune," one elder proclaimed, his voice echoing through the silence. Kato and Mosi seized the moment. "It is Nia," Mosi shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at his sister. "Her potions have injured the spirits." The villagers murmured among themselves, the seeds of doubt blossoming into full-fledged fear. Nia stood alone, her heart pounding. She looked to the elders, hoping for support, but found only cold, calculating stares. "I have done nothing but try to help," Nia pleaded, her voice trembling. "Then prove it," Kato challenged, a wicked grin spreading across his face. "Prove that your potions are not the cause of our suffering." Nia felt a deep sorrow well up inside her. She knew that no matter what she said, the seeds of distrust had been sown too deeply. The only way to clear her name was to break the drought, a feat even her mother would have found challenging. Determined to save her village and her name, Nia set out on a journey to the sacred mountains, where it was said the spirit of rain dwelled. The journey was peerless, with rocky terrain and wild animals posing constant threats. But Nia pressed on, her heart heavy with the hopes of her village and the weight of her brother's betrayal. After days of arduous travel, Nia reached the summit of the sacred mountains. There, she found an ancient shrine dedicated to the rain spirit. She knelt before the shrine, offering prayers and her most potent potions as gifts. "Great Spirit," she began, her voice breaking, "I seek your mercy. My village suffers, and they blame me for their plight. Please, bring the rains and prove my innocence." 4 days, Nia remained at the shrine, praying and meditating, her body growing weaker as her spirit grew stronger. On the 7th day, as her vision blurred and her strength waned, she heard a whisper on the wind. Your heart is pure, Naya. Your devotion shall be rewarded. As if in response to her prayers, the sky darkened, and heavy clouds gathered overhead. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and soon, the heavens opened, pouring life-giving rain upon the parched land. Nia, exhausted but elated, made her way back to Mbokodo, the rain following her every step. When Nia returned to the village, the rain was met with joy and relief. The villagers danced and sang, their faith in Nia restored. Kaito and Mosi, however, could not hide their resentment. They watched as Nia was welcomed back with open arms, their plans to disgrace her foiled. The elders, having witnessed the miracle, called another meeting. This time, it was to honor Nia for her bravery and dedication. Nia has proven her worth and her innocence, the head elder declared. She is the true heir to her mother's legacy. Kaito and Mosi, unable to contain their anger, confronted Nia after the ceremony. You think you've won? Kaito spat, his eyes blaying with hatred. This isn't over. Nia looked at her brothers, her heart aching. I have never wanted to fight you, she said softly. We are family. Why can't we stand together? Mosi sneered. Family. You are nothing but a usurper. Nia shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. I have only ever wanted to help. If you cannot see that, then it is you who are blind. With the rains came new life, and the village of Mbokodo flourished once more. The crops grew tall, the rivers flowed freely, and the livestock thrived. Nia's reputation as a healer was solidified, and the villagers came to her not just for remedies, but for guidance and wisdom. Kaito and Mosi, shamed by their actions, found themselves increasingly isolated. They had lost the trust of the villagers and struggled to regain their footing. Nia, despite everything, continued to extend an olive branch to her brothers, hoping that one day they would accept her as family. One morning, as Nia tended to her herb garden, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning, she saw Kaito standing there, his face a mixture of anger and sorrow. Nia, he began, his voice rose. I don't know how to make this right. Nia stood up, wiping her hands on her apron. It starts with forgiveness, Kaito. For both of us. Kaito looked down, shame washing over him. I've done terrible things. Said terrible things. We all have our faults, Nia replied gently. But it's never too late to change. Slowly, Kaito nodded, and for the first time, Nia saw a glimmer of hope in his eyes. It would take time, but perhaps there was a chance for healing. In the months that followed, Kaito and Mosi began to change. They worked harder, helped more, and their animosity towards Nia lessened. It wasn't an easy path, and there were many setbacks, but the village noticed the efforts and began to welcome them back into the fold. Nia continued to lead by example, her compassion and strength guiding the village through good times and bad. She knew that the scars of the past would never fully heal, but she also knew that love and forgiveness could pave the way for a better future. One evening, as the sun set over Mbokodo, casting a golden glow over the land, Nia sat with her brothers by the river. They talked about their father, their mother, and the future of their village. There was laughter, there were tears, and most importantly, there was a sense of peace. Nia looked at her brothers, her heart full. They had a long way to go, but they were on the right path. For the first time in a long time, she felt a hope that they could truly become a family. And so, under the vast African sky, the village of Mbokodo found not just the rains that brought life to the land, but also the bonds that brought life to their hearts. The echoes of the past lingered, but they were joined by the melodies of a new beginning, one where forgiveness and love prevailed over hatred and division.